So, dear ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to the third best practice. Bernadett Papp will be with us. She's coming from the European Tourism Futures Institute, and she will talk about Towards Destination Stewardship, a governance diagnostic framework and illustrations from the city of Amsterdam. She's working and researching in the field of urban tourism. She's teaching at NHL Stenden University, but also at the Schema Business School in Nice, in Nizza. She's a doctoral student at the University of Glasgow. Wonderful. Bernadett, you were working on a case study and still working on a case study of Amsterdam. We would be happy to know a bit more about Amsterdam with this special focus on the destination stewardship. You know, it would be the best to present us something between 10 and 12 minutes so that we have 3 minutes more for questions and answers.
All right, and thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the European Tourism Futures Institute and the Center of Expertise in Leisure, Tourism and Hospitality, thank you very much for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to join you today. So I would like to use the next maybe 10 to 15 minutes to introduce destination stewardship as a more conscious approach towards destination governance. My presentation is based on a white paper that we are working on currently with the World Travel and Tourism Council and the Travel Foundation. The paper itself is now close to publication, close to completion, so hopefully you will be able to read it soon. But to help destinations move towards destination stewardship, we developed a diagnostic framework that can help stakeholders review and assess various aspects of destination governance and therefore make adjustments whenever needed. So today I will focus on this diagnostic framework, as was mentioned before. And while talking you through the framework, I will bring some examples from the city of Amsterdam. Because based on the level of engagement from the public, the private, also the third sector, and the community, Amsterdam is a really good case to study integrated destination governance. But before I introduce the framework itself, the reason why we believe that destination stewardship is an ideal approach is because on the one hand, it embraces sustainability, and on the other hand, it suggests the need for a more legitimate and effective destination governance model. And besides that, it also builds on stakeholder collaboration, co-creation, and shared responsibilities, which are often components that are desired, but also rather problematic. So we believe that to build back better, as we often say it, we need to address these root causes and often fundamental issues that really hold destinations back from becoming more resilient and sustainable, whether it's pre-COVID or post-COVID times. And we really see destination stewardship as an approach that can help us achieve this. Another thing I would like to just briefly point out before we get to the framework is some of the trends that are signaling the need for a more rigorous approach that allows for better co-management. And as you can see on the slide, none of these trends or approaches are new. They were already known pre-COVID-19 as well and have been discussed to a certain extent, but they never really gained momentum.
Ja, verehrte Damen und Herren, es gibt Übertragungsprobleme. Wir sollten schnell wieder zurückkehren zu Bernadett Papp. Es geht um das Thema Destination Stewardship, eine Erweiterung des Governance-Gedankens. Das ist ein spannender Ansatz, nicht zuletzt vor dem Hintergrund der Fallstudie Amsterdam, die Frau Bernadett Papp präsentiert. Stewardship ist ein Ansatz, um die Menschen vor Ort mehr in Verantwortung zu bringen. Destination Stewardship kann ein Ansatz sein, um die Governance partizipativer zu machen. Governance bedeutet immer auch Self-Governance ein Stück weit. In den allermeisten Ansätzen dazu ist von Self-Governance die Rede und könnte mir vorstellen, dass Bernadett Papp auch in diese Richtung abzielt, diese Stewardship als Form der Integration, als Form der integrierten Destinations-Governance ein Handlungsmuster aufzubauen, das breiten Kreisen aus den Destinationen und von außerhalb der Destination, die diese Destination wertschätzen, auch integriert werden, umgesetzt werden kann. So, Bernadett, welcome back. Thank you very much. Please try to summarize now your idea about destination stewardship.
Oh, well, first of all, I apologize for being disconnected.
We have a couple of minutes, but then we have to close. Thank you very much for being very short.
All right. So basically, with regards to destination stewardship, the reason why we believe it's really an ideal approach is because it embraces sustainability. And on the other hand, it really emphasizes the need for a more legitimate and effective destination governance model. And the concept itself also builds a lot on stakeholder collaboration and co-creation and also shared responsibilities, which are, of course, core components of destination management, but are often seen as problematic. So that's why we took destination stewardship as a starting point for our work. And along those lines, we developed a diagnostic framework that can help destinations assess their current governance models and pinpoint improvement areas where there is lack of engagement or lack of agreement concerning various aspects of destination governance.
Thank you very much, Bernadett. When you talk about stewardship, then I guess you are talking about responsibility. What is the experience now with responsibility, especially when we talk about a case study of Amsterdam?
I believe that COVID has made us aware of what our responsibilities are. We, due to the current situation with the pandemic, reversed the so-called zero state. So being in the zero state with very limited movement, we have a better chance, of course, to measure the impacts of travel and tourism, and therefore become more aware of not only the negative, but also the positive impacts. And therefore, I think the dialogue and the conversation is shifting towards shared responsibilities, which is very important. And therefore, I believe that the current debates really encourage and build on collaboration and co-creation, and more attention is being paid to processes that can facilitate co-creation and collaboration. And that's the essence of destination stewardship as well. That's how we can all become destination stewards.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bernadett. Annika, are there any news from the chat front? Annika, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you very much also from my side. We do not have any questions from the digital audience so far. Should there be any more questions, we will be happy to ask them and we have a chance to.
Wonderful. So in the meantime, I would have another question to Bernadett. Coming back to the case study of Amsterdam. Well, we experienced, or we heard a lot about issues related to over-tourism in Amsterdam. Is the destination stewardship one of the answers to the movements in the context of over-tourism in the past, or is it more? Are there other reasons behind for going in this direction, Bernadett?
Well, I would say that destination stewardship and our framework either won't solve the problem and won't give definite answers. But what we can see in Amsterdam is a really good example of integrated destination governance. We can see close collaboration between the public sector, private sector, the third sector, so knowledge institutions, scientific institutions, and also the community. And what we can see is that Amsterdam and Partners is a very strong linking pin between the various sectors. They play a sort of mediator or advisory role. And so just like destination stewardship is built on collaboration, we can see a very strong aspect in terms of collaboration in the city of Amsterdam. And I think that this aspect is what makes programs like the City in Balance program that was not so long ago merged with another initiative called the City Center approach. This strong collaboration and openness for dialogue is what makes such programs possible and also successful. And I think this is the basis for dealing with issues like over-tourism. The issue is very widespread when you look at policies as well. You need policies related to infrastructure, to finances, fiscal policies, social welfare policies. So the solution touches up on various policy domains. And when that's the case, then you need collaboration and coordination across various policy domains, across various sectors. And also we can talk about vertical collaboration as well across various levels, like maybe national, regional, and local level, as these policies impact upon each other. And I think in Amsterdam, this specific aspect is done quite well and successfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Bernadett. A last question to you. So destination stewards or participants in the stewardship program, do they, let me say, absorb strategies and policies of the city of Amsterdam, or do they propose new ideas for the policy and strategy of Amsterdam? What is their role?
I'm not sure I understood the question correctly. Do you mean stakeholders who are active in the city of Amsterdam?
Yeah.
It's very interesting because one really good example is the Vision 2025 document that was prepared by Amsterdam and Partners in response to a call from the city authorities. And this is a document that's been endorsed by the majority of the stakeholders. And this is a document that was created in collaboration with members of the private sector, public sector, including the city council, and also community representatives. So in that sense, it's a collaborative thinking process that they went through. And they managed to come to some sort of a consensus that is acceptable for most of the parties that are involved in travel and tourism.
Okay.
So,
yeah, thank you, Bernadett. I have to close now this workshop and this presentation of the best practice of Amsterdam based on your research. Thank you very much for, again. As I understood, the destination stewardship is a kind of shared responsibility, of organized shared responsibility for the further sustainable development of this wonderful city of Amsterdam. Thank you very much for being with us, Bernadett Papp from the European Tourism Futures Institute. All the best.
Thank you.